Good afternoon. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, and along with Attorney Ray Hanlon, attorney Nabiha Shear, legendary attorneys Flint Taylor and Jonathan Moore, and supporters Ron Baldwin, Cameron Mitchell, we all stand in solidarity with Ilyasha Shabazz and their estate and representing the state against the City of New York, the FBI, the CIA, and the Department of Justice. Today is a historic day that marks the 60th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King. During this Black History Month, we believe now more than ever, we need to tell the story of Malcolm X, one of the greatest thought leaders of the 20th century. And this is important for all of our children, Black children, white children, brown children, red children, all to know the importance of Malcolm X and his great contributions to not just the American society, but the global society. On this historic day, marking the 60th anniversary of Malcolm X's assassination, we formally request that the President declassify Malcolm X files, just as he said in his executive order, and I will read the first part of his executive order that we think is apropos to our demand here today. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. More than 50 years after the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., the federal government has not released to the public all of its records related to those events. President Trump is quoted in his executive order as saying, their families and the American people deserve transparency and truth. It is in the national interest to finally release all records related to these assassinations without delay. The President very aptly described our own demands here today to have the records declassified regarding the assassination of Malcolm X. As we said in the executive order, after 50 years, the John F. Kennedy Collection Records Act that was passed in 1992 said that the records could be released. Well, it's been more than 50 years since Malcolm X was assassinated. Today marks 60 years since the assassination of this great leader, Malcolm X, and the federal government has yet to release all the records that led up to and followed Malcolm X's assassination. The family of Malcolm X and the American people deserve transparency and truth, just as it is in the interest to finally release all the records related to his assassination without delay. JFK RFK, MLK. We need to add Malcolm X. Why wouldn't we release Malcolm X's records if we're going to release the records of these other leaders who were assassinated? And I know there has been a lot made by the president and other leaders about a deep state existing in the secret services. I do not have information about whether a deep state is in existence of the day. That is beyond me. But based on what we have learned in investigating these claims for our lawsuit on behalf of Malcolm X's estate, we are confident that these records will show that there was a deep state in the 1950s and the 1960s with J. Edgar Hoover at the helm that targeted American citizens, and specifically they targeted African American leaders like Martin Luther King, like Fred Hampton, like Huey Newton, and of course they targeted Malcolm X. These records will lay that bare. And so, in this instance, more than any others, Ilyasah and family members of Malcolm X are fighting day in and day out for justice for their father. 60 years later, they're still fighting. The American people are deserving of knowing the truth of the federal government's targeting of Malcolm X and the ultimate cover-up to ensure his family and the American people could never seek justice for the wrongs committed. These dastardly deeds need to be revealed to the public as a teachable moment so we can do everything we can in our power to prevent the targeting of American citizens by our own government. Again, I repeat, the American people deserve transparency and truth. There is no longer a national interest to not have these records released. And we ask that these records be declassified and released in their entirety without further delay. Before we take some of your questions, Malcolm X's daughter, Ilyasah Tobias, will address you. Ilyasah.
I'm only going to support what Ben Crump just said. We are only asking for the declassification of our father's records, along with President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and of course, Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King.
Thank you, Ilyasah. Are there any questions?
Mr. Crump, can you be just a little more specific in your exhaustive investigation so far? What have been some of the roadblocks that you've encountered where you feel that having a full disclosure of documents would get you past those?
Well, certainly. We have, in our lawsuit, laid out all of the reasons why we need to see the full extent of the FBI and the CIA and the New York Police Department covert activities to conspire to assassinate Malcolm X and to cover up that assassination. It's almost as if you're putting together the puzzle, but a chunk of the puzzle is missing because individuals on the other side of the room are holding the puzzle pieces behind their back and saying, you all haven't put the puzzle together completely. Well, we know because you all have the other puzzle pieces. And so what we're trying to do, and we're following the demand of the family, but really, President Trump aptly described our demands for Malcolm X in his executive order when he made the case why he was going to release JFK, RFK, and MLK records involving their assassinations. We see no difference why Malcolm X's files should not be released. We can't think of a single solitary reason why his FBI files would be any different than the FBI files of Martin Luther King and John F. Kennedy. Yes, sir. Yes.
It's been 60 years now since your father was assassinated. How emotionally has this impacted you after the 60-year mark and you still don't have the answers you want?
You know, I simply think of my mother 60 years ago to this day coming here and witnessing this assassination of her husband and giving him comfort as he took his last breath right in this space, and to focus and turn this place into, you know, the Shabazz Center for others. It has been a challenge, but we are going to have a lot of faith that we will be able to vindicate his assassination.
Thank you so much, Ilyasa. Any last questions? Any last questions? If not, we thank you so much. We will continue to keep you updated. Obviously, May 19th will mark, had he lived, the 100th birthday of Malcolm X. We pray that we will have his records released fully by then, and we pray that Mayor Eric Adams and the federal government will finally do right by Malcolm X's family. How long for justice for Malcolm X? May 19th. Set your calendars. Thank you.